welcome everybody to another episode of the Deep Dive Podcast. I'm your host, Simon Wardable, and today we're taking a deep dive into the Nepal trekking expedition from 2019. I'm joined today by Lianne and Wong, who were students on that expedition, and the lovely Colleen Hammond, who was one of the supervising faculty. So let me just say thanks to you guys for joining me today. And I want to give you guys each a chance to just introduce yourself. So maybe Lianne, we'll start with you. Just, let us know who you are, where you're calling from today. And if you could be adventuring right now, what would you be doing?
Hey everyone, so I'm Lianne. I'm currently in Kelowna, BC. I recently graduated from TRU with a post-bac diploma in adventure studies. If I could be adventuring right now, well, I would be working, but I would probably be doing Skaha weekends, climbing every weekend and getting up to the local craigs and saving my pennies for the next major international expedition.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later, I guess. And,
yeah, it might be a while.
Yeah, it might be a little bit while. So yeah, maybe local trips just for now. Wong, what about you? Maybe introduce yourself, tell us where you're calling from, and what would you be doing if you could be adventuring right now?
Hi everyone, my name is Wong. I'm from China. Currently I'm staying in Kamloops because I couldn't go back home. And yeah, I just graduated from this program this spring, so year of 2020, special year. And if I could be adventuring now, I'd probably go climbing or mountaineering.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Wong. And Colleen, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you calling from right now? When did you graduate? And what would you be doing if you could be adventuring right now?
Well, I'm calling from Calgary at the moment. I'm actually sitting in a trailer outside my mother-in-law's house. It's a little quieter out here. But yeah, I graduated from the program actually in 2008. And then I graduated from my master's in resource environmental management a couple years ago. And if I could be adventuring, well, I don't know. I think right now I've been dreaming of lots of sea kayak trips. So pretty stoked at the idea of heading to the coast when I'm allowed to go there.
I guess it's probably a little difficult to do those kind of trips in and around Calgary. So yeah, maybe a trip to the coast is needed right now. So I guess you guys all shared an experience last year. You got to go to Nepal and on this trekking expedition. So Lianne, maybe I'll start with you again. Maybe just tell us a little bit about the expedition. Like, where did you go? How long was it? And how many people did you go with?
So there was 8 of us total, 2 faculty, 6 students, and we went to the Longtong region in Nepal, and we were trekking for 15 days, I believe. Okay,
and Wong, what were the goals of your trip? Like, why did you want to go there? What did you want to accomplish while you were there?
Yeah, for our group, the cultural experience plays a really large role in our trip. And we really want to experience the local, like Buddhist culture, Nepalese culture. And the other important thing is to hiking in the Himalayan ridge. I see all the giants there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go see those big mountains, eh? And maybe Colleen, just over to you. Can you give us a little bit of a background on this trip, like this expedition? Like, I guess first of all, why did you go to Nepal? And have you done many of these trekking expeditions before?
So I think we chose Nepal partially because of the history, I think, with the adventure industry in Nepal. It just has such an intertwined and rich history. There's so many, books and kind of stories that come out of the Himalayas. And we looked at the Longtong region kind of specifically because of the 2015 earthquake. So the area was devastated by that 2015 earthquake, and we wanted to kind of see firsthand how the area was recovering, like what that looked like, as well as be part of the recovery process. So we stayed in tea houses along the way to make sure that we were contributing to the local economy. It gave us this really rich. As Wong said, it was really about the cultural experience. That was one of the main driving factors of choosing Nepal and the Longtong region. It just has such a rich history and like amazing people. So I hadn't been to the area before. Terry Palechuk, who was the other faculty member, he'd been there about 30 years ago. Was really interested in seeing a lot of the changes that the region's gone through. So first time, yeah, for I think a TRU expedition trip with 1900 to be going to that area.
Awesome. And what about the trekking expedition itself? From what I understand, it's a bit of maybe more of a non-traditional activity that's chosen for the expedition. So how come that happened last year?
I think it had maybe been in the works for a few years. I'd definitely say this was, I think Terry's baby, and I was lucky enough to kind of assist on the trip. It is a bit of a non-traditional expedition, but not completely. We've definitely, TRU has done other hiking expeditions. The trip, it had some really unique planning challenges to it, being that you can't get great maps of the region. When you do get maps, places are in different locations depending upon what map you have, as well as it really gave, it's high altitude, so dealing with those challenges. So there was lots of those interesting challenges that you want to be able to experience and deal with on an expedition. So it made an ideal place to go, really.
Excellent. And yeah, I guess that's what I want to ask, Lianne and Wong about. So maybe Lianne, again, I'll ask you first, but what was the planning process like? Had you ever planned a trip like this before, to international destination, doing this kind of activity?
So I'd done this type of activity before with another group. And also I had planned like a large group international trip before, but never the combination of I was part of the planning and it was international. So it was really great for me because I really wanted to learn skills around planning an international trek like this. So we met on a weekly basis and we assigned different roles to members in the group for planning. I was one of the members that was in charge of finances because that was my weakest. I had never done like any major finances for trips, so that was my role at the start in our early planning stages.
Okay, nice. A good way to take on a bit of a weakness or something you never tried before is just to dive right in, it sounds, right? So what about you, Wong? What was your role on the trip and how was the planning process for you?
I never did a international or 3 weeks long expedition before, so it was brand new for me, and it was challenging at first because I didn't know what's the whole image of the planning things. So yeah, gaining lots of help from the faculty during the class. And my part was kind of focused on the routes we're gonna hike and just collecting all the dots, trying to make few plans we can use while we get there.
Okay, and then Wong, in your opinion, you make this plan, you have it ready to go, you're about to step on the plane, and you go on your trip. Did your plan work?
Yeah, our plan worked really well. And even though we made a little deep changes during the second half of our trek, but overall the logistics and finance works really, really good.
Nice. A little shout out to Lianne there, getting the finances right. And I guess, Colleen, you were, one of the faculty members on this trip. So I guess from your perspective, how did the expedition go? I guess another way to frame this was, did the students pull it off?
Yeah, they definitely pulled it off. I think, like Wong said, they had the logistics under control and they dealt with all the changes that come with an expedition. Because you make a plan and you don't really expect it to go completely as planned, right? And they had plans B and plan C, and so they were able to roll with the punches and deal with it was really hot when we started the trip, so immediately right off the bat we were a little bit behind schedule, and we just continued to adapt our plan as we went. So I think they did a great job in just basically adapting to it as we went, which is really what it's all about. You make a plan, and then you have plans B, C, and D, and they work with all of them.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. And it sounds like, that's a bit of a theme, especially when you go to Nepal. You have the plans, and then the unique nature of Nepal, might throw some of those plans out the window. So I guess the next thing I wanted to ask you give you guys an opportunity to do is just share some of the expedition memories. So maybe Lianne, I'll start with you again, but I guess how would you describe your expedition experience, and was there any kind of memory that really stood out to you?
This expedition was incredible. There are so many memories that stand out. We had so many amazing experiences. I've been living off the stoke from this trip for a year now, which usually I finish a trip and I'm ready for the next one, but this one I've really been living in it. I didn't really have many expectations, but this was way beyond my expectations, especially when it came to cultural moments and getting to know local people. We had some really incredible cultural experiences that I think we are so lucky to have been there during those. And yeah, so they're all related to the earthquake and that disaster, and just seeing how it's affected the community and being a part of some of their significant cultural events. And I think my most memorable day is when we hiked to the summit of Sekori. I was really nervous to be the lead guide that day because I didn't have a lot of experience doing that, and I was still trying to figure out how to fill my natural leadership role. And the summit was just so beautiful, and I think that was a really challenging day for everyone in the group, and we succeeded, and it was very memorable, and I'm really glad that we all got to do that together as a group.
Thanks, Lianne. And what about you, Wong? What was your expedition experience like? And are there any memories you want to share?
Yeah, we were so lucky to run into a local memorial ceremony after the earthquake. That's the first one they did after the earthquake, and we also ran into a local wedding. It was so crazy, and yeah, that was so memorable. And also we kind of heard a lot of stories from local people, how they survived from the earthquake and how they recover their house and economy things. Yeah, I guess that part of the experience was really kind of memorable for me.
So you guys got to crash a wedding out there in Nepal.
Yeah, it was the first traditional Tibetan wedding that they had in the region after the earthquake, because they went through, I believe it's like a 3-year period of mourning. So not only did we get to be there, but they invited us right into all of the ceremonies. And a Tibetan wedding is nothing like a North American one. I mean, it went on for at least 24 hours, dancing and food all around the village. It was amazing.
Oh, sounds fantastic. And I guess
not something you could plan.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Colleen.
I was just saying, it's not something you can plan.
Yeah, it's usually the way it goes with those cultural moments, right? Where they seem to be a little bit more spontaneous. I know I had the fortune of going to Nepal in 2013, actually as part of a TRU expedition as well, and most of my memories are around everything but the activity that we did down there. Whether it was the travel or just walking through Kathmandu, and then some of the experiences we just had with the locals. So yeah, I guess you do all the planning, you go there for the activity, but the cultural is just that that spontaneous aspect that kind of pops up and makes it memorable and allows you to live off the stoke for months or years to come. That sounds a bit. So guys, the last thing I really wanted to ask you was, moving on or thinking about the future, if anybody is thinking of a trip like this on their own, whether it's a student from TRU or somebody just wanted to go to Nepal, what advice do you have for them if somebody was to go trekking or do something like what you guys did? So maybe Lianne, again, I'll start with you.
I would probably say be flexible. like every day we were reevaluating what was going on around us in terms of weather, altitude, cultural events, and just be open and flexible to constantly change and reevaluate your logistics and your plans. Yeah,
Awesome.
and make sure you find good maps, because we had like 5 different maps and they were all different. And the most reliable maps were the ones that were painted on stones on the trail. And actually talking to locals and getting information from local people was our most valuable beta and map. So just be like open to talk to people and be friendly and open.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Lianne. And what about you, Wong? What advice do you have?
I guess firstly is physical level. You have to really work hard for that duration of hiking. And secondly, on the planning aspect, we need to really go deep into details, even from the airport to how to get to the trailhead. These details are easily to be ignored, but it was really important for the expedition like this.
Okay,
And,
yeah. Sounds like good advice. Yeah, how to get to the trailhead. You know, maybe all the planning goes into once you're there, but yeah, linking it from the Kathmandu airport to your trailhead sounds like it should use some particular attention. And Colleen, what about you? Any advice for future students or future or anybody who wants to go to Nepal?
Right. I think sometimes it's just that first stumbling block of being like, oh, what don't I know? And realizing it's okay not to know everything. Like, do your research, have your ideas, and then take that final jump, book that ticket, and realize that you probably you'll learn a lot as you go. You won't know everything when you're there, but you'll have a really valuable experience. Yeah, and an amazing experience. So I'd say just make that commitment.
Awesome. Thanks, Colleen. Yeah, I remember, my experience in Nepal. One thing I said with the group I was with lots was, it's part of the experience. All the little hiccups and bumps in the road that we experienced just became part of the fun, really. So yeah, we said that a lot. It's just part of the experience, So, but yeah, guys, that's all we really have time for today. So I just want to say thanks to the 3 of you for joining me and taking a bit of a trip down memory lane. Lianne, I hope this fuels the stoke just a little bit longer for you. And then for those of you who are listening and watching, thanks again for joining me on the Deep Dive. This is the Expedition series. And there's a couple more of these still to come. We got a surf one, a ski one, and even a sea kayak one lined up for you in the next coming week. So that's it for me. Play safe, party smart, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks, you guys.